Hello everybody and welcome to week 2 of video critiques. Um, this time around we're going to be looking at uh, tinting images. So trying to recreate some traditional darkroom effects in the computer. So I'm just going to jump in here right off the top and say what I usually say at the top, which is first thing we're going to do is judge these as images and then talk about how well they meet the requirements of the assignment. That's my usual rundown. I will probably mix it up a little bit just because, it's going to be right there. We're going to be looking at the toning side by side with the image, so it just makes sense. Alright, so first we're going to be looking at Crystal's work. And we got some portraits here. Some kind of nice portraits of this guy. I feel like my first thought is, these are good portraits. I just want a little bit more, kind of like some rim lighting or something, just to sort of have a little bit more of a distinction between his hair and the background. But again, that's me being picky. I'm a picky person, what can I say? But I like some of the sort of where you go from maybe a little bit more pose to kind of like more capturing the person's personality here. Go ahead, just one click so you can get a little bit broader look at these. Forgive me, I have a little bit of a cold here. Sorry. So, always fun to see some of these where you're kind of getting a little bit of the personality in here. Like this is nice. On these, somewhere he's kind of feels like he's leaning back a little bit. We're getting, I feel like this side of his face is getting just a little bit dark, whereas as opposed to here where you can really, it's not like 100%, even light across his face, and it doesn't need to be, but both sides of his face feel like they're lit enough. So yeah, let's take a look at sort of the top 5 that you chose and then what effects you did with them. Pardon me. Alright, I'm going to try just a couple clicks here. Alright, so you have your black and white here. What I'm liking about this is you have a lot of nice details here. I'm not 100% sure if I like the look on his face, but I feel like you have it's pretty well lit. You have like a lot of nice detail with the freckles and sort of some of the lines that you get in there. Nice little catch lights in the eyes. I feel like this black and white maybe just needs a little bit more of a punch of contrast, because you're not getting the color contrast that you're getting here. I feel like just bumping that up just slightly would sort of make the image pop just a little bit more. Sepia tone. Excuse me. That's pretty good sepia. You got the brownish yellow tone. That looks pretty much right. And the conversion from color image to sepia tone looks pretty good. I'm liking that one. Yep, sepia. Sienna type. This I think this is maybe your strongest image of the group. The effect's properly done. Looks good. Yeah, I think it does add something. I don't know if it's like the perfect image to do a sepia tone on, but I feel like the sepia tone does kind of add an element to the image, which I'm liking. And I also just like, again, nice genuine moment, well framed, well composed, beautiful lighting. You have this like sort of subtle thing, the sort of slightly directional light you know, everything just looks very nice. And then, oh, selenium. Oh yeah, okay, I see that. It is sort of that. Yeah, I think overall your images are very, very successful, and your tinting all looks. I mean, it looks like the historic process that it is based on. So yeah, Crystal, nice work. All right. Next, we're going to move on to let's see, Sherry. All right, and see that big talbot. I'm not familiar with that, but sort of when I was looking through her images earlier, it reminded me of sort of some of the sort of like Edward Weston. Where was he shooting? Big Sur or something like that. That sort of area. So yeah, you have these definite, like these dramatic images here. Now on the contact sheet, some of these are just a little bit underexposed, but when you see her final, like the images that she chose as the best, and then the effects that she did to them, I thought that they turned out really successful. But you can see, like, you know, some of this I know is done for effect, you know, sort of to emphasize the dramatic thing, but like something like maybe this just looks a little bit dark in places to me. And so there's some definitely, you know, then there's some ones that kind of look dark, and then there's ones like this that are, you know, have element of darkness in them but are beautifully exposed and beautifully put together. So really a lot of nice stuff here. Feel free, you guys, to go, if you're enjoying this, to go and just take a longer look at her contact sheets. But I want to get to the final images and just talk about what she did here. Excuse me. Alright, so black and white, she added a lot of contrast. It looks like some sort of selective dodging and burning, darkening and lightening. Added a ton of drama to what is kind of already a fairly dramatic setup. But you can see just the difference between this and this. A lot of drama added. Just some really nice stuff. And you didn't push it too far, Sherry. I like that you you hyped it up, you amped up the sort of dramatic elements in there without really going overboard. So that is a very nice image. Nice work. Again, same thing here with the sepia tone, or some people say sepia tone. Again, this, I think what's making me think this is, this looks a lot like a film image, like the one on the right. It really reminds me of back in the day when we would shoot with film, we would use different like filters actually over the lens to create a different effect. And what this reminds me of, in addition to the sepia tone, is it reminds me of we used to use a red filter a lot to kind of get this look where it'd make it dramatic. It'd really kind of push the blue skies almost to black, and you'd get this sort of like high contrasty thing going on here. And this feels like that. I mean, it feels like the kind of images that were being made at that time. It feels like, I mean, it looks like that look, and then you add a little bit of sepia. The sepia is really subtle here, but I like that because I feel like it's not trying to overpower what's going on in the image. So again, excellent work. What was this? Oh yeah, I also like this one quite a bit. Again, same sort of thing. And these are also the kind of images that would have these different effects applied to them in the darkroom. But again, bumped up the contrast. Got that sort of, you see some of the darker blues are really going like black here. And just, I don't know, maybe it's my own personal nostalgia for the time when I was coming up in photography. But I really like this. And really, the other thing that you get is a heightening of stuff like this, where, like in here you can see, so this is sort of some light hitting the edges of these branches, and it's darker here. here with that extra contrast, it really boosts that effect quite a bit. And you're not having the sort of color, you're removing that as an element in the image, and it's really kind of focusing your eye on the texture, on the interplay of light and shadow. Again, excellent work. I really like those quite a bit. Cyanotype, definitely. Again, I like the effect, and you're really kind of getting, kind of accentuating some of the sort of texture here, the smoothness of the sand and the different gradations. Very nice. My only thing here is that it's maybe a little bit more cyany than your average cyanotype that you would get through the process. Like, it's super cyan. And while cyanotypes do have a lot of cyan, they also have a bit of a warmer blue in there as well. But again, that is being so picky. I don't know. I'm like judging your work like I judge my own work. Very picky. I'm gonna try not to do that too much, but very nice. And when everything is like the drama, it's just amped up so much on these that I really am enjoying that. But not to the point where it's becoming melodramatic. And then last but not least, the split tone, cyan and red. I like that. It's definitely not a combination that you see too often, simply because cyan and red tend to be, they're just not really seen a lot together. They're not complementary, meaning that they're not opposite on the color wheel, but they're near complementary. Or are they complementary? Man, I gotta think about my color wheel. Blue and yellow. Oh, I guess they are. No, they're complements. Don't mind me. I should know this stuff, but sometimes my brain does that function. Cough syrup. I had too much cough syrup. That's what it is. Okay, so they are complements, so you don't, even more to my point that I was trying to make, it that you don't necessarily see them in an image like this that often, but I think it works here. The red is, it's like the red is kind of, the cyan is kind of pushing the red almost, brownish purple direction, and then this is, vice versa, this is kind of pushing the cyan almost more towards its green end. But I like it, very nice. Outstanding work, Sherry. Alright. Moving on, next we have Tracy. Alright. Sorry, got a little bit of lag going here on the computer. I knew this was the thing. Wow, this is really blowing up a lot. That might have something to do with it, just pushing the resolution of this too far. Okay. So we got some pretty bright image. Even just at the thumbnail size, I kind of like what's going on here. I do those colors, and this is nice. There's actually a lot of nice ones on Tracy's here. Wow, makes me shiver. It looks cold. I don't know why, it's like a blizzard here. I'm sure at some of these images. Oh, this is also nice. But I'm not going to spend too much time on this, partially just because they're kind of small and hard to see. I want to get to her images here. Okay. So yeah, it was definitely just a resolution thing. So I'm going to even go down another click. Alright. Conversion to black and white. I like it. It's interesting, like, this looks like the one on the right could be such like an old-fashioned image, except for this like air conditioning unit sticking out of the window. It's like, is this shot in 1900? I guess not, because it's got that. I'm not quite sure what this is. We have it on both of them. If there's something going on your camera there. But yeah, I like how this looks. Again, this is a nice. It's both faithful to this image, to how it looks, and it converts well. I think partially because this is fairly monochromatic to begin with. Like, you have the red, and the red usually transfers really well into the black and white. So nice. You have some nice textures here that I'm really enjoying. Oh yeah, really nice. This actually kind of makes me think a little bit of the last assignment where we were talking about using white balance to sort of warm up or cool down an image. And again, you can use these effects, and that was a lot of the way that they were used back in the day, as sort of in the way that we would misuse, quote unquote, misuse white balance today to add that effect. We could do the same thing back in the day with these tinting processes. So yeah, I mean, you get like that extra sort of feeling of coldness in this image because, again, it's got that cyanotype on it. Cyanotype's subtle, but I like it. I tend to like things that are subtle, unless it feels like the image demands you not be subtle, but this doesn't feel like that. This is really nice. The mood is really nice in this. Like, there's a sparseness that I feel like the cyanotype really complements here. It's a really nice job. Nice textures. There's a ton of great textures. And there's a simplicity to this. Like, if this background was really crowded, it would just ruin the whole thing. There's like this sort of stark shapes in here in this landscape. I really like that quite a bit. This is another one. Oops. Okay, yeah, good. So this looks like the selenium one. She didn't label them, but I have a feeling this is what that is, because it's sort of that gray. It's a black and white, slightly gray, slightly feels like a little bit of a purple-y thing that you get. That's funny. In the darkroom, I think I've only done the selenium tinting once or twice. It's really tough to do. But yeah, sorry. Again, another fairly stark image. I feel like this helps. I mean, here it's almost monochromatic. Here it is, obviously. But I feel like that gray really, again, just like with the image above, adds another layer to that. And then, okay. Yeah, the colors in the cyanotype look just slightly off. I'm trying to think what it is. It's just like the mix of brown and yellow just seems a little bit off. But again, really like that image. I feel like all these are really working well. And part of it too, just like with Sherry's images, are that these images feel like the sort of images that I associate with this. Not that they feel like they're copying or like overly similar to the images that they were making back when these processes were used. It does feel like your take on it rather than just copying what was done before. But there's an element of it that reminds me of those images, and so I feel like it's a really appropriate use of that. Funny, I was mentioning earlier, talking about what these processes are like to do in the darkroom. If you've ever printed, I don't know if you guys ever have or not, but if you were to be in the darkroom while someone's doing this effect to a print, it stinks. It smells like rotten eggs, like really sulfury, for about the first half hour, and then your nose stops perceiving the smell. And then someone else will come in and be like, it stinks in here, and you realize that you haven't been smelling it for a while. That's definitely a weird sensation. All right, guessing this is split toning. It's hard to tell because that almost looks like it could be selenium, but I think it's probably too purple to be selenium. It looks like she did the toned image on this side. Anyway, I like that. I like it. All right, Tracy, excellent work. All right, and then last but not least, we have Jared. Let's look at his contact sheet first. Excuse me. All right. That's fine. Okay, so you got some Harry Potter books. I'm not going to complain. I happen to very much like Harry Potter. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Just don't tell anybody. I read all the books. I watched all the movies. Although I definitely like the books better. Yeah. I feel like this is kind of a fun. It's like a little bit of a studio setup, but I dig it. And again, I'm always in favor of people. Yep, in favor of people kind of changing the elements around. You know, a lot of times when you're doing this sort of studio stuff, I feel like sometimes people get like locked into a certain way that it's set up, and they might change it around a little bit. But I mean, you really kind of have to, you know, I always shoot my original idea as I saw it, and I kind of play with the elements and see if I can't find a way to improve it. I don't know. Maybe that seems super basic, but sometimes I look at people's contact sheets or whatever. Not David's, but excuse me, not Jared. I just called David. Oh, yeah. But it feels like someone had this idea and they felt like they were really locked in, and they just ended up shooting a bunch of shots of the same thing, which you didn't do here. I mean, you did. There's definitely some similarity, but you're seeing like he's changing up the composition slightly. He's changing up the lighting effects. So I like that. Let's take a look at what he did for. There we go. Okay. Hey, already. I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing here. All right. I'm liking. I'm assuming this is your. Okay, black and white. Good. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. Sorry. I like the contrast. I like some elements like this. Like they're really kind of nice. Sort of composition here. Like in your use of geometric shapes. I feel like maybe what this could use is like a bit of like a bit more light on this side. Now whether that's like my first thought was like use a bounce card to sort of just open it up a little bit, but I don't know. Like your main light source seems to be coming from this side, but from back behind there. I mean, you could still have a light shining that you just use the bounce card to bounce light in there, but it would have to be some sort of lighting source over here. Anyway, well, I guess there has to be some lighting source over there based on this. Okay, so whatever's lighting this side, you have your bounce card over here, and you're bouncing it here. Okay, good. But in terms of the effect, I like it. I feel like the backdrop is slightly distracting, just slightly. Like it needs to either be smoother, or I don't know, or if it's like you're going for textured thing, it needs to be more textured. I don't know. It's funny. It's like a big difference to see that in color. Okay, before and after cyanide. I'm liking this. Well lit, nice contrast. Although I kind of want to open that up just a hair. Yeah, that looks just a little bit dark. I like that it's darker. I like that you got light here, and this is darker. But I feel like it's almost getting lost. Like I can't quite distinguish all the way down to that corner. It seems a hair more light on it. But again, that could just be me being picky. I like the cyanotype effect. Again, it's a little bit cool. In real life, it tends to be just slightly warmer blue, like a little bit more blue into the cyan. But overall, I think that's really cool. And I like, there's something like with the way that the light's falling on it and the sort of graphic element here that I feel like is working pretty good. Alright, and this is what, selenium? Yep, okay. Yep, I like it. I'm digging it. And then, what do we have here? Sepia. And then last but not least, Splitter. Oh, that's it's almost like a, I feel like it's like a sepia, not selenium, but a sepia with like a green. I kind of like that. I feel like that sort of goes too somewhat with the sort of subject matter there. The books somehow it's like a, you know, you think about like magic or whatever, kind of greenness. I don't know. This green, I'm trying to think back to color theory. Green can connotate sort of strangeness, weirdness, and that aspect. I think that totally works. All right, guys. Yeah, I thought you guys all did pretty excellent work. So yeah, thank you for watching this. Trying to think of a good word for you to incorporate into the comments to let me know that you watched the whole thing. And I'm gonna say, I was trying to remember what. I know his name is Buckbeak, but was he like a griffin or something? Oh, I forget. It's been too long since I read this. So, I'm gonna say that the word that you should write on the bottom is umbrella. I don't know if you want to reference what Rihanna? Is that who sings the umbrella song? I don't know. exactly my kind of music. Whatever. Umbrella. You can simply write umbrella. You can work it into a sentence like I think almost everyone did last time. There's only one or two people that just wrote the word. I always kind of find it funny to read people's sentences with the word in there. All right. So, excellent job, you guys. I'm going to stop now before I ramble on forever. Yeah, great work all around, and thank you for listening.